This is the reason why if you're on a six-figure income, you can't borrow much from the bank. 2 words to explain this. It's called assessment rate. So assessment rate is also known as a benchmark rate. So what it means is, say you're on a $120,000 income and you want to borrow something for up to 80%. Because you are really good at saving, you have 20% deposit. Now, as of today, the best rate for variable and occupier on average is about 4.88%. The bank does not assess you at 4.88% when they're determining your borrowing power. Because there's a regulatory board called Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, APRA. It maintains to the banks as a regulation that they have to have an assessment buffer rate of 3%. It means if you're applying at 80%, the assessment rate is then at 7.88% because you're adding 3% buffer. I speak to a lot of first home buyers who book a call through my TikToks. Not a lot of people have 20% deposit. Usually 5% deposit or 10% deposit. And say at 90%, you can't get this rate anymore because pricing from the banks is tiered. So at 90%, you might get, say, 5.5%, or at 95%, 5.7%. The banks have to add their 3% mandatory buffer. That becomes 8.5, that becomes 8.7. Now to add fuel to fire, well, the RBA every month is increasing interest rates by, for example, the last 2 consecutive rate rises by 0.25. Every time the RBA hikes up the rates, the assessment rate goes higher and higher. A lot of first home buyers and first time investors that I speak to through TikTok when they book a call, they don't get this. They're like, well, Q, I'm on 120, 130K after my expenses. I should be able to get a home loan if rates are like, 4.8 or 4.9. But look at this. Say, for example, you want to buy a property for $750,000. You have 20% deposit, plus you're opting for annual land tax if you're in New South Wales. You want to borrow 80%, so the loan will be $600,000. Say the available rate at the moment is about 4.88, but it's going to increase. So add in 3% buffer. Say, let's round this off to 8%. The bank will then go, hey, at $600,000 at 8% over 30 years, the repayment is $4,402.59. Let's go to a Google PAYG calculator and go put in 120K. Your monthly after-tax income that goes into your wallet is about $7,339 per month. Then we plug this net income that goes into your wallet, say that goes into your bank account, but the bank goes, well, can you pay this, buffer assessment repayment per month? And we do the maths, and then we do this. Okay, there looks like there's a surplus of 2,937. Then we haven't applied the bank's benchmark living expenses. For someone that's on 120K, you're looking around maybe 2,600. And God forbid, if you spend more than that, then no way. And you get the surplus and you minus the bank's living expenses, you're left with $337 surplus. I know most of you are throwing your legs up and arms up in the air and go, hey, I don't spend that much, I'm frugal. Well, the bank doesn't care. They take a national average. You might be an Asian, you might be ethnic, you might be a minority, you don't spend much, but this is based on white boy average spending, which is the average Caucasian spending. Again, this is not casual racism. I have a lot of white friends, but that's the average, right? The average Australian spend. They apply this white boy average spend and go, oh, you're left with 337. That's kind of dangerous. We need a buffer at least $500. Decline. And guys, I didn't throw in the car loans that you have, the novated leases, the credit cards, the buy now, pay later that you have. And if you're on bloody HEX, even worse. If you guys have HEX, on average, you reduce your borrowing power by $150,000. I'm serious. Guys, this is on an ideal situation. Someone that's on 120K with 20% deposit. If you want to borrow 90% to 95% with like a 10 to 5% deposit, probably looking at 500K lending. No, you guys like, what the F? Like, why? I earn like 6 figures, dude. Yo, I work at Ernst & Young, KPMG, yada, yada, yada. And guys, this is not going to stop. As inflation keeps going up, RBA's going to keep slamming rates. And, there's reports saying rates can go up to 9%. Which means the assessment rate will be 9 plus 3 is 12%. Yikes! Follow your first home buyers, first time investors. If you want to buy, get in now. As you wait until October, the end of this year, yes, you might have this incredible income, but by then, eroded by a higher assessment rate, you're gonna get jack, yo. There you have it, guys. Hopefully this explains why with a high income, you don't get much lending. Jump in the comments, tell me what you think. Either roast me or toast me. Ha! See you there.